Hirsch, you gonna help me? How about you? You gonna help me? So we're gonna remodel this bathroom. It's, like I said, a little guy, about 5 feet wide, 8 feet long. It's such a junky little thing. So we got this window that won't open or shut. It was, and we got some drywall or something that's cracked. Shower head made for 4-foot wooden cabinet that doesn't match. The white tile, the only access to plug-ins being this one up here. The linoleum on the floor, well, it wasn't even installed correct. The leaky toilet that won't stop leaking, so we have a rag down there. That lid that we just can't seem to fix. A vanity, too big for this bathroom, right up against the tub. Stained tub. We just can't get clean. The mold and the caulking that won't come out no matter what you use on it. I mean, this bathroom is disgusting to even come in here. Like, you'll be sitting there on the pot, flush the toilet, and you can watch water or something gurgle up through this little hole. Towel rack that's fallen down multiple times. Really the only thing even somewhat redeeming of this bathroom is this archway that sort of sets it off as a, you know, older home architecture, but even that's going to go. So yeah, this is a pretty disgusting bathroom, and pretty much it's all going to be gone and redone. There's no ventilation in here whatsoever except for the broken window, which, like I said, doesn't work. It can be held open with that stick. Totally cool. So I'm just going to tear it all out. Guys having fun?
Yeah.
Demolition.
Demolition!
Stage 1 in process. Got the recruits here.
You should show the outside, Dad. Yeah, show the garbage.
So far.
Show the garbage. Show the garbage. And show under the tub. Show under the tub. Oh, yeah, Dad, look under the tub.
So, day number 2, the demolition is done. So, shower will go there, vertical, corner shower, and then the sink will go there, toilet there, pretty much how things were. Haven't figured this out yet totally, but this will be a glass brick window. Not sure how it's going to work yet with the shower. I'm going to put a fan in there next, up in the corner. There was some dry rot and some wet, moldy fiberglass insulation inside this wall. You can see the wood's pretty wet in here. It's actually quite wet to the touch. A little bit of mold happening, but structurally I think we're still pretty sound. If you get down past this first layer, the wood's kind of wet, but it's not totally damaged and cracked, so I think in the next week or so it'll dry out nicely. Hey dude.
It's all dark?
So next we'll be installing the fan up there and figuring out and rewiring the electric. Basically there's one switch and one electric box before, and I know I'm going to have a double switch at least, one for the light, one for the fan, and then probably an electrical outlet here and here on both sides of the mirror, or at least one. Having an electrical outlet on this side would be a good idea too, so just need to think about that for a little bit, and then I'll start doing the electrical. But for now, get to cross something off the list here. Demo done. Well, today we start the wiring and kind of have it figured out. There's going to be a fan up there. There's going to be a recessed light up there, which will be above the shower. Above the sink, which we've discovered has to be a pedestal sink because of space restrictions. The pedestal sink will go right about here, and so right about here will be an electrical outlet. Then also there's going to be an electrical outlet here on this side, and then one that's up here. There will be cabinets that run along here, kind of like square cubby cabinets for towels and decorative things, and so putting a hidden outlet up there will allow for different lighting or whatever, probably some rope lighting. And then the main light will be here, and also a main light above the mirror, so right about here. So those will be on one power cord. So we have one, recessed light makes two, fan makes three, and then that electrical outlet makes four, as far as things that have to be powered by a switch. So the switch will be here. It'll be a four-way. I have some fancy black ones that have two switches per plate, so that'll look nice with matching black outlets. So quite a bit of wire to run, but that'll be today's project, is getting all the electrical ready. So here is the fan that I bought at Lowe's, just a basic blower fan. It'll go in the ceiling in the corner. There's the wall ducting kit. The fan will blow the air out, and this will be on the outside of the house. So, never done it before, but instructions look pretty simple. This is the recessed lighting piece. Pretty basic. It's basically going to go up into the rafters there. It's got these sliders that look like they're pretty adjustable for any size. Never done this before either, but looks pretty straightforward. And then this little light cover basically goes in there to give it a nice white and black accent. Here's some of the supplies that I bought for the rest of the electrical project. Some Romex wire. Okay, so electrical boxes for the outlets, electrical box for the switches. These are the switches. They're, like I said, kind of a two switches in one. So two of those are black, and then the black outlets. wire crimpers, the little twisty thing. And then it's not grounded in here, but I thought what I could do, I'm guessing, is run a ground wire to this sewer pipe. If I scrape this down to the bare metal, attach this band to it, and then attach a ground wire to that, then we'll have a grounding source. There's a GFCI here already in place. Shoot, I forgot to get a black one. Well, I'll use that for now. Maybe I'll replace it with a black one later, but it's a nice GFCI plug-in somebody put in, but no ground. There's just a hot and a neutral wire. If I can ground it, then I can use that GFCI appropriately, as well as having a grounding source for all the other outlets in the bathroom, which of course is very unsafe not to have them grounded. So anyway, that's today's biggest goal, is to get all the wiring done. So some of it I've done before, some of it I never have, but just reading instructions and using common sense. So wish me luck. As far as my tools, tools for demolition, really the hammer. I had a bigger hammer than this. I have a framer's hammer, but I broke it yesterday. After 20 years of service, it finally gave out. Crowbar. If you're gonna do this, probably get a larger crowbar, so you have a small one and a large one. Cat's paw, kind of a mini crowbar, plus good for pulling out nails, getting leverage. And then I have a sledgehammer that I used. Primarily I used that for destroying the fiberglass tub, breaking it into bits. But with that and everything else, the absolute most important piece of equipment that I use for pretty much everything are my safety glasses. There's been, in the past couple days, 6, 7, 8 different times when something literally flew and hit the glasses dead on and saved my eyes. Gloves, and then a mask. A couple times I wore this mask when I was a lot of dust in the air. The second most important piece of equipment is this coffee. Okay, so here's the new wiring. Here's where the light switch is. 4 wires for 4 switches. Runs along here. Replaced the old one, plus added a bunch more, as you can see. Kind of they just meet right here. Sort of a junction box will be here. Ceiling light, electrical outlet, fan. I installed the fan in the outer duct vent. So there's the wire that powers that. This will be the wire that powers the recessed light. Here's the ground wire that I installed. Just clamping it onto this. I used a kind of a sander to get the black paint off of this iron. So hopefully that grounds it. I don't see why it wouldn't. None of this stuff in here was grounded. Here's the power wire. I have it capped and it runs up from down there. So hot and neutral and ground, and all these will come together in a junction box. I decided to run an additional outlet to right about here, and that'll be for a lighted vanity. Electrical box will go here and here, and probably here as far as for the lighted cabinet up there. Alright, So electrical is now done. It's just a massive tangle of wires here, but everything is working now. So the GFCI outlet is working, as well as this one. And there's a powered outlet that's on a switch, and this one's on the same switch for recessed light or cabinet lighting. So the first switch turns on the vanity light and the overhead light. That's not there yet. And the second switch turns on power to these outlets here, and the third switch powers the recessed light. And the fourth one powers the fan. So now I just need to get all these wrapped up a little better and more secure and tuck them into the wall. Next is plumbing. Need to raise this and raise these. Okay, so on the plumbing, here's where I'm at so far. I took out the old stuff and went to Lowe's and picked up some more galvanized steel pipe, and these are 1/2 inch inside diameter threaded couplings. So one of each of these will go on here, and then basically this one's too small, but I need to get some taller galvanized pipe and run the cold up and the hot up. I have to drill some holes here, and then bring them together here where the faucet, I don't even know what it's called, coupling is, the main handle for the hot and cold, and then run one up here to about this height. So this unit may actually work, this piece may actually work for the shower head, and then I'll run a 90-degree elbow off of that. Okay, so here's the finished plumbing. Hot on the left, cold on the right. Seven, 8 inches tall. So replaced these with 1/2 inch steel galvanized, and just went one piece at a time. A coupling, a 36 inch pipe, an elbow, a 2 inch nipple, and then I went and bought the actual faucet, and this is the valve in the middle. It's a one handle faucet, and then added I guess a 1.5 inch piece here, another elbow, and you have to go one piece at a time here to screw it on. Then the problem is when you get down to here, to turn this final piece clockwise tightens it here, but undoes it here. So this is actually different than this. It's a what do you call it? It crimps down a bushing, and so there's actually three pieces: a piece that attaches to here and here, and then a final piece that tightens it down. So before I tightened that, I turned this clockwise into here. So these threads just basically sat and spun on this bushing without going anywhere. So then finally tightening this down was the final task to complete this whole circuit here. 78 inches is the standard. It's also the height of the new shower, so I had to add This galvanized pipe only comes in certain lengths. This is a 30, so I think I probably could have added a 30, just made it a 36, but I happen to have the 30 and a 1-inch coupling and a 4 or 6-inch extender, another elbow. You want to use a lot of Teflon tape on each joint that you put in, and then finally securing it with a strap, at least one strap, so it's nice and tight, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so that's done. Glass block window, 6-inch by 8-inch glass block, 6 across, 2 high. The encasement, after I framed it in, I used joint compound and I sanded that down, and then I put some Kills 2 white latex primer, and then basically just set the blocks in there using clear silicone. And when that dries, I'll go in and scrape off the excess, make sure it looks really good. Okay, here is the new shower drain. It's black PVC 2-inch pipe. It's coupled down to 1-inch pipe underneath the house. And underneath the house, it looks like this. Here's the new setup. So it goes into this 1.5 or 1 3/8 inch brass piping, so there's a coupler that's used right there, and then it goes into a P-trap and a union and an elbow, 90-degree elbow, 1.5 inch pipe, and then you just cement each piece together one at a time with black PVC cement. So basically I just copied what was there before with a little bit different, a little bit of a variation. The old one used to run up this way. So didn't really know what I was doing, but just looked at what had been done before and went to Lowe's and bought the parts, and I think it came together okay. Okay, so a few updates here. One is these boxes. Now the shower is going to go here with tile going up, and that's actually a change. The previous shower was a little smaller and the windows were opaque, so we went and got a little bit nicer shower with clear glass, and the clear glass, of course, will enable us to be able to see back here, so we thought it'll be even nicer to have tile back here. So with that, to accommodate shampoo and soap and whatnot, I put a box here and here and here and here. So this will be the main box for shampoo and stuff. A little bit smaller box, maybe some smaller bottles, bar of soap or something small here, and then sort of a woman shaving area here. Put your foot there, maybe the razor or whatever. So that's that. Mostly just 2x4s, nails, and a backing, 1-inch board backing back there, and then some construction adhesive to solidify it. Now, one thing I'm going to do This one's actually has a little bit of a downslope, about a 1/16 of an inch. This one is the opposite. These are pretty flat. So once we get the drywall in, I'm going to use some joint compound or something and make this just a little bit of a slope coming down, about a 1/16 of an inch, almost unnoticeable. In fact, it will be unnoticeable, except to the water. It'll allow the water to roll off, same as here and here. So just a little bit of joint compound, mainly in the back area, to have that at a slope. It seems like that'd be logical, so water wouldn't pool up. The other thing, another update here, I put some studs back here, some 2x4s. Not exactly sure where the mirror is going to be hung. It's a large 41-inch mirror. It's going to go roughly here to here. So wherever it's going to be hung, there's going to be some studs back there. Somewhere in this area is where the hooks are going to be. So that's that. Talking to my wife last night, we decided to add another electrical, another light right here. So this will be a nice light above the mirror. So I basically just added this, ran it off of the main light there. Also added another wire so I can have another electrical box over here. There's going to be some kind of cabinet or shelf here. It'll have to be fairly small because the shower line is here. We only have a few inches to work with, but some sort of a small shelf system there. It'll probably be custom built. But then we started thinking, you know, what if you want to put something here, potpourri warmer or some little lamp or something. So there's that. Again, they're routed through the GFCI, which is really important. And I think that's all the little things that I did yesterday. Oh, also put in a couple of studs this afternoon. I got a buddy coming over to help me do some drywall, so in preparing for that, I realized that there was a missing stud here as well as here, so added those. Oh, and the mold that was on this wall and the dampness, so used a wire brush, scraped off a significant amount of the black and white spotted mold with a mask on and safety glasses, and then washed the clothes and took a shower. That stuff is nasty. After that, I used Kills white primer paint. Actually, it's Kills 2, and that has a water band and antimicrobial, so that stuff is really good, and that'll keep the bleeding at bay as far as any residual mold or dampness coming through. It's a tiny bit coming through right there, even after about 6 coats. But this stuff is really good. In fact, I had a contractor friend of mine over yesterday. We were talking and showing him what I was doing, and he mentioned that's what he would use. So I was glad to hear that. So with the drywall about to get started, I went through once again and looked around for nails coming out of the studs, because there can't be anything. The drywall has to go on a totally flat surface. The only thing that can be protruding is the things that you want to protrude, like your electrical boxes, pipes, things like that. So I think we're pretty well prepared here. In here, where lights will be coming out, it's actually technically not the way it's supposed to be done. You're supposed to put a power box there, similar to that one, and have it protrude out 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch for the drywall. But I just want like a little hole here in the drywall for this to come out of, just to increase the amount of flexibility I have where I can put the light. If there was a big old box there, I'd pretty much have to have the light right there, but with just a little hole, maybe there's some kind of a grommet or something that my friend can tell me about, but otherwise I'm not too worried about it. It's not going to be that big a deal. The biggest thing is to make sure the electrical never goes back into the hole. So I've got a couple nails there holding that, and found a big old staple in my junk drawer that I use for that. Also covered up the electrical here, just a safety panel for that. Okay, now I did the insulation. Never done that before either, but it's actually pretty easy. Just went to Lowe's and got a roll of John's Manville. It was like $8 or $9, R13, and it's actually a lot safer than it used to be. You can handle it. It's in plastic. I just measure these boxes and then measure the insulation, cut it up with scissors, and then you just press it into place. You can buy the stapler that they have, or you can just use little nails like this and hammer it in, and then it actually chunks up pretty well. And here's some extra pieces I have down here. I'll probably just stuff those in to some of these places up here that are missing insulation. Okay, here's the floor, and this is 1/2 inch Hardy Backer cement board, and it's 3 foot by 5 foot sheets, which was kind of weird. The bathroom is not quite 5 feet, it's 5 feet and 1 inch. So I left about a 1/2 inch around the perimeter for the whole bathroom, and we can just put the drywall up and have the 1/2 inch drywall sit down on the floor. When that's done, I'll screw in the Hardy Backer with these specifically designed green screws, 1 5/8 inch Hardy Backer screws. Okay, so I screwed down the cement board flooring. About every 8 inches there's a screw. In a couple of the areas there was a little bit of buckling or bowing on the board, so I put the screws a little bit closer together, about every 4 inches. Then I put some of this joint compound into these boxes to make sure that there was a little bit of a slant going this way. Not enough that it would be noticeable when the bottles of shampoo or whatever are sitting on there, but just enough so that the water won't bead in there. This one required a lot. These didn't require quite as much. Just about a 1/16 of an inch down slope. I made sure that all the electrical outlets and the switches were exactly the same height off the ground. I measured again to make sure that where the tile was going to go and the tile decoration, and it's going to come to about here. Give a good 1.5 to 2 inches for the switch plate, and then I measured that each of these was the exact same height off the ground. Once I did that, I secured them in place. So now we're totally ready for the drywall. Okay, the drywall is done. My buddy Sal came over with 2 of his guys and whipped it out in like an hour. They even did the cement board for me. They cut it, did all the holes, did the plastic drop cloth behind it, and everything. Over here where the shower is, you want to use cement board, because even though tile is obviously a good moisture barrier, grout is not. Grout wicks moisture, so just to do regular green board on that is not advisable, and you're looking at 5 or 10 years till replace everything. So 4 milliliter plastic and then cement board is what we use there. Okay, Okay, so now we're doing the tape and texture. This is called fiber tape, like this yellow fibrous tape. And you put it in each of the seams, the corners, and then a special kind just for the cement board down here. It's more of a gray color. Where's that? So here's the yellow for the drywall, and then this gray stuff, a little stronger I think, for the cement board. And then you just come behind it using all-purpose joint compound. Just smooth out the edges, go over it in the fiber tape and the joint compound. Holds everything together. Plus, it helps smooth out the seams. So this seam here, where it buckles up, is getting a lot of extra joint compound here to help it get smoothed out. And we'll get some more right in here with another coat of this. So this makes the entire wall nice and smooth. Okay, the next thing I'll show you, I had a guy come in to do the texturing for the wall. So above the tile will be this awesome texture. There's lots of different options. But when he was in, he also helped complete, or I guess improve, the mudding of the rest of the drywall. And he is an expert, so areas like this that had a little bit of smoothing mud on them now have a lot, because he was really good and he offered to do it at a really good price. So I had him go through and do that first and just correct a few issues and really smooth out the wall. A little bit less time over here because he knew that we'd be putting tile up. And there's some extra mud here just because he was doing some experimenting and showing me some different things. But he went through and made some of these areas really smooth where we just didn't do it quite enough down here. So he spent a little bit extra time on some of these areas. After that, he did the texturing, and he did the what's called the Santa Fe texture on the walls above the tile, as well as the ceiling. There's 3 or 4 different things that he showed me. Typical orange peel texturing. There was some things he could have done with a broom, as far as like brooming over and curving. And this, if I was doing this again with what he showed me, I think I'd be almost comfortable doing it myself. Basically just taking a trowel and moving it lightly along the wall in somewhat random patterns. And then he also installed a metal bead rail. Basically, it's a L-shaped metal bracket that goes 1 inch this direction and a 1/2 inch this direction as one option, and that's the one that fit right in there and really cleaned up the window corners. So I don't think I'll be using the trim after all, and I just think it looks really clean as is. I might do some white paint or even some black paint. I paid him $250 to do a little bit better job with the taping and texturing, and then to do the Santa Fe texture. Now here I've cut out the cement board slots for the drain pan for the shower. So it's going to go down like this, and the drain pan, if I've cut correctly, should fit snugly against the wall, right up against the studs. And that's a lot better than just putting the drain pan up against the cement board, as far as preventing water damage. As the water runs down the tile and gets onto the grout, some moisture will wick through the grout onto the cement board, and as gravity pulls that water down, we're going to want it to end up inside the drain pan in here, as opposed to continuing to run down the cement board to the floor. So, got 3 or 4 layers of red guard inside those boxes. If any water gets through there, it's all over. So, I was pretty liberal with the red guard in there. Okay, now it's tile time. And I got a pretty good chunk of the floor done. I went through and laid out all the pieces ahead of time. The middle pieces in a diamond pattern I'm cutting right now, and not exactly sure this is the way it's supposed to be done, but seems like pre-cutting them all ahead of time and then picking up sections, putting the mortar down and reapplying the sections would be the best way to do it. With the small tile, there's 1/8 inch spacers in there. Look like that. And with the larger tile, there's 1/4 inch. Holds them in place, plus guides you. And now it's just a matter of cutting. The diamond pattern is cool, but it's a lot of extra work. Here's a particularly interesting cut. I'll show you the saw that I'm using. It's a wet saw, but like any saw, or most saws, cuts in straight lines. So going around a curve like this, basically you measure from here to here, and here to here, mark it, put a line in the middle, cut in, cut in. So there's a V, and I did that. Now obviously it's too tight, so I marked it again, and I'm going to make a deeper V. A little bit complicated, but just go slow. I did try a tile breaker, and I tried that for about 10 minutes before I took it back to Home Depot. Got myself a tile saw. It's a wet saw. It's actually the cheapest one, but it's doing just fine. Water that you pour in there, and as the blade spins around, it's a carbide blade. There's no teeth. It's got this gritty surface here that cuts into the tile as it spins, and as it goes into the bottom, it picks up water and keeps it cool. I'll put it up here and hold it with both hands, and I'll cut from here to here, and then I'll spin it around and cut from here to here. Gotta make sure you have this down and wear your safety glasses. You just start your cut, and it's a pretty slow cut. Just from here to here is probably going to take a minute, maybe a little more. And from here to here, another minute. It's porcelain tile, and like ceramic tile, it can break pretty easily. So you have to go kind of slow. So, with enough cuts, you can make a curve using a wet saw. Alright, all the tile has been cut and placed into positions. Now it's time to mortar. Well, it's coming along. Starting day 2 of the tile here, actually day 3. Here's a couple interesting tricks. Because there's slight imperfections in the wall and in the tiles, you want to make sure that you check for level frequently as you go along, and try to get the spacing between the tiles the same. And it's a little harder than it might seem because of these slight imperfections, but these little spacing squares are kind of nice. Theoretically, this is a 1/4 inch, and I want a 1/4 inch grout line, so you'd put this in 2, 2, and 2 around the tile. Not quite that easy. To make sure that there's an equal amount of space between here and here, for example, you have to get kind of creative, and so a little bit smaller area, and so putting these in here accomplishes that. Also, another trick is these little screws here. I got to a point with these tiles where I needed 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 tiles to be slightly moved over about 1/8 of an inch all at once, because I was having a little bit of a difficulty with this line here. It's still not perfect, but I needed this to go over, and so I used these screws here to gently nudge these tiles over and hold them in place so that I could start this one exactly where I wanted it and not 1/8 of an inch over. So little screws and turning these things in a little bit different way. This is a little bit greater than 1/4 of an inch. This is exactly 1/4 of an inch. This is about a little less than 1/8 of an inch. So just a combination of things to get these perfect. Also, every once in a while, one of the corners of the tile sits in a little farther, so it's not exactly flush, and when that happens, you can use the little guys or the big guys and just kind of tuck them back in there to push the tile out and away from the wall just enough. And I had that problem especially over here. When the person who put the mud on put a little bit of extra mud here just to fortify this area with the piping, but what has happened is this whole area is raised up about 1/4 of an inch beyond this, so it's like a big bubble right here. And as I started to tile, I noticed that, and so these imperfections. So what I ended up doing, and will continue to do up through here, is turning each tile just a little bit. So pushing this in all the way, but this gap here exists. Then using these little spacers here to push this piece of tile out just a little bit more, and then one of them here to push that out. And so it's going to be a giant bubble, but if I do it gradually around the whole thing, it'll probably not be noticeable. And again, keep checking for level. You can also use line of sight once you get a few of these in, just to look and make sure that it's level. There's a slight dip down there on tile number 2 and 3 that I'll compensate for in the next row of tile. And for example, when I checked for level here, I found that this tile was sitting down about 1/16 of an inch. So I just took 2 of my little guys here and doubled them up just enough to bring that up. I also see that this is sitting in too far, so I'm going to get my screwdriver and pull that out and put one of these small guys underneath there to bring this up to the correct level. But anyway, once I put these in here, it raised this up to the appropriate height. Getting close. Well, the tile is done, just needs to be grouted. And it turned out pretty good. So the next step will be to grout. I want to make sure we use a non-sanded grout in these glass areas and down in here. So I have a regular grout as well as non-sanded grout. After that, I'll work on the shower. Well, now that the tiling is done and I'm preparing to grout, I'm going through ahead of time and just using a screwdriver and getting rid of some of this excess mortar. Places where the mortar has come to the surface a little bit on the edge of a tile, maybe it's just an eyesore. And then mostly in places like this where the grout really needs to penetrate and some of the mortar is protruding out to the surface where the grout needs to go. So just to break that up a bit. There, now it's a little deeper and the grout has a place to go into. When I get done with that, I'll start grouting. Something else that I did today is I dry fit the shower base rim as well as one of the glass pieces. And this glass piece just inserts down into here. And I did that so I can see just how high it went up to, because I needed to measure a couple of blocks of wood that are going to go, one's going to go here and the other one's going to go down here. Remember that I put some studs back there too. What was supposed to go back there was a shower enclosure, basically a big plastic piece, a couple of pieces, but because this looks so much nicer, I did this. Here's what it looks like with the grout in. Looks even nicer. So we actually have two different colors of grout here. We got like a taupe, I think it is, and then a chamois or a beige color up here. And that was on purpose. We had to use a different kind of grout for these and these, a non-sanded grout. And just thinking about how it might stand out, we've got a little bit lighter color. So this is a beige, and then the main grout color is a taupe. But it really did a nice job of making these glass tiles pop. Box has turned out pretty good. Put a lighter color tile back here just for fun. Also, my wife and I primered and painted yesterday. So we'll wait a couple of days and let this grout cure before we seal it. The more days the better, actually, and the slower the better. From what I read, In fact, some people even recommend spraying the grout lines with water every day, just to prolong the amount of time it takes to dry. Well, today is the shower. Now, the backing that was supposed to be sold with this shower had a specific shape, including an outcropping up here, about a 1/4 inch beam that would run out here, as well as on this side. And since we're not using that, I had to build a couple of we have to do some makeshift beams. So I'll show you what I'm using for that. Basically just a couple of 1x2s that I sanded and stained. Tried to stain it the same color as the vanity, which came in. It's here. It's called Espresso. It's really dark. Yeah, so that min-wax ebony color. After that I'll stain it with some waterproofing sealant.
I almost didn't notice all the roses in the notepad. What?
Got the vanity in and the toilet. Well, the light fixture is installed. The overhead light. I also put the cover on the shower recess light as well as the fan, so that cleaned that up. Also, I put the cross beams. They're basically just 1x2s on the shower. I decided not to drill in, rather to use some heavy-duty epoxy. It's a 2-part epoxy with a resin and a hardener, and it is quite hard. That board's never coming off of there. And then also I sealed the grout. You want to make sure you wear gloves when you do that. So here's the vanity and bowl and faucet put together. Looks pretty nice. Originally I thought we were going to do a pedestal sink. Maybe have a pedestal and then a clear vessel on top, but my wife wanted to go with this vanity she saw, and it was 18 inches, so it did fit. When I thought we were going to do a pedestal, I wasn't too worried about the piping situation. A lot of flexibility with a pedestal, but after we chose to go with this, I neglected to think about the pipes, and what happens is they're too far over to the right, so when this goes back it sticks out too far. The vanity sticks out too far from the wall. So I rigged an extension for the 1/2 inch galvanized pipe, a couple elbows, and sent it over to the left about 5 inches. And then for the drain pipe I put a 90-degree vent elbow and did some more cutting. So I think that'll work. And it goes back quite a bit, but there's still about a 3-inch gap. So I'm going to cut into here, which will allow the vanity to go all the way back against the wall. We're pretty close. So I got the shower done. Turned out pretty nice. Looks really good on the tile there. Measurements were good. Turned out just how I wanted them to. I used some black caulk, black silicone, 100% silicone, to waterproof this, plus added just a little bit darker black to it. And got the light in. Got that at Lowe's for 58 bucks. Well, today I worked on the door and the cabinets, so we just decided to go get a new door, you know, for only 30 bucks. It was the right thing to do. The other one was a little bit outdated, heavier. So I got some brushed nickel hinges and a doorknob to go with the rest of the brushed nickel things in here. We painted it and then I hung the door. Had to do some extra sanding though, so we'll come back and touch this up. Here's the shelves that I built. And there's some shelves that are going to go in here. I need to drill some holes for adjustable shelves for these cabinets. This one up here is really not even a shelf. It's more of just a place where the rope light is going to look nice and cast some light outward. And these will have adjustable shelves as well. So next I'm going to put the door trim on. And I just got some molding from Lowe's for the door trim. So it just needs to be touched up. In a few places just put a little extra caulk where I may have nicked some stuff. For example, in here, had to cut that out for the door jamb, and then I just filled it in with caulk where I went a little bit too far. I got a couple of the little accents in place already, the toilet paper holder and the trash can, the soap dispenser. And we'll paint in here the inside part of the door jamb. Same color, that is espresso color. So we'll just be careful to avoid painting the hinges. Those look nice. Leave those exposed. We'll leave that exposed. Got the switch plate covers on. Those turned out nice. Alright, got the mirror hung up and the hand towel holder and the beginnings of the medicine cabinet, but I messed up and I cut a hole in the back for this. That was too big, so I'm letting that, I glued it back up and I'm letting that dry. And then, voila, the main mirror. Why, sure, I'm glad I put those studs back there because they went right in and it's very secure. Alright, I've got the glass shelf installed. It's actually fairly secure. It's tempered glass as well. See, the towel holder is in place. That's it for the time being. Oh, I went to Lowe's and upgraded this paint. Just look at the difference in this paint. This is flat. And I talked to the guy, and actually flat is not recommended for bathrooms. For one, it just shows every little piece of dust, and two, it's not great with moisture that you'd find in a bathroom. So I got the same color but in a semi-gloss. So this will actually serve as the primer. So here's the repainted with a semi-gloss. Looks a lot nicer. It'll hold up better to moisture too. Here is the shower hardware. Brush nickel head and lever. Works pretty well. And then here is the medicine cabinet backlit. And basically just used a 6-foot rope light. Starts up here, runs down. That electrical outlet will also be nice for like the toothbrush. And there it is with the plant. I started one vine on the rope. Might even let that over time just start a trail over here with some push pins. Maybe that way a little bit too. Here's the molding. It really did a nice job accenting the ceiling. The lights that are supposed to go here and here are on back order. But other than that, I'm done. I spent today finishing these cabinets, shelves, whatever. They're adjustable. Basically, it's a 1/4-inch hole, and then you put these shelf stoppers in there. So those are adjustable. As planned, this switch activates the rope lighting up in there. So can't wait to see it at night. Should be pretty nice. And stopped by Bed Bath & Beyond yesterday. Got some towels, a little bit of decor. Orange and espresso or Java color matches pretty nicely. So 7 weeks, all done. Yes.
Can I come in?
Yes.
What are you doing?
Are you happy with your new bathroom?